Yo, what's good everyone? My name is Alex, and if you're new to the channel, I make videos about photography, process, editing, gear reviews, and more. Today's video is about Lightroom editing, and I'm gonna show you how to quickly and easily edit a set of street photography photos. I'm gonna go through my step-by-step editing process so you can follow along and hopefully learn something new. Be sure to watch until the end where you can find out how to download my free preset that I use on these photos. With that being said, let's just get right to it. In this first image, you can see that it's pretty dull and gray, so I'm first going to add some warmth with the temperature slider. Next, increasing the contrast will give it some of that punchiness, and separating the shadows and the highlights will help bring back that detail. I always like to increase clarity, vibrance, and saturation in all my raw images because raw images typically lack that color and sharpness that you get out of JPEGs. Next, I like to add a slight S shape in the tone curve just to emphasize the shadows and highlights a bit more while giving that faded black effect. Now, the secret to getting a consistent style and mood across your images is using similar tones in the split toning tab. I typically like to use cooler blues in the shadows and warmer yellows in the highlights. This gives a nice tonal contrast to the overall image, and you'll see that we can pull this through to the rest of the images in this set. For the last step in editing this image, I want to add a slight vignette. It's a super subtle way to draw your eye into the frame because the corners of the image will be darker and your eyes are naturally drawn to the brightest part, which will be in the center. I really like this second image of the taxi because of the unique perspective and the pop of color from the cab. As you can see, it's slightly overexposed, so I'm first going to decrease the exposure slider and increase the contrast. Just changing these two settings dramatically improves the image already. Like the previous shot, I like to increase clarity, vibrance, and saturation just to give it a bit more life. Since I want this set of street photos to have a similar look and feel, I'm using the same S-curve to give it that punchiness. The yellow in the taxi is a bit too acidic now, so I'm adjusting the yellow in the hue tab and shifting the color to a more orangey yellow tone. Once that's done, fine-tuning the shadow and highlight tones will really pull this image together. The crop in this image is a little strange, so I'm just going to crop in to get rid of that extra space and place the taxi on the bottom third of the image. This is a much stronger composition, and I love the way it turned out. Let's move on to the third image. I'm also not liking this composition either. When you're out there shooting on the street, oftentimes you just try to snap and get the moment and worry about the composition in post. Here I'm cropping in to get a really tight frame around my subject where you can see the details in the crab and the basket. The image overall is a bit underexposed, so I'm increasing the exposure and contrast. The rest of this edit is pretty standard, using the same S-curve as the previous images. I ended up bringing the exposure back down since the image was too bright and I wanted a more moody feel. Introducing those subtle cool tones into the shadows definitely helps contrast with that bright orange shirt. Now the last image of the set already looks really cool with this super ultra wide lens and all the pigeons just flying around. You can see the sky is way overexposed, so I am decreasing the exposure and the highlights. Now you can actually see the clouds and the blue sky. This is why I love shooting raw, because you are able to retain that information in the brightest part of the highlights, even if you're not able to see it in the raw file. The negative space on the left side of this image is pretty distracting, so I'm cropping in to center the guy in the middle of the frame. After adding that S-curve, I noticed that this image is overall too cool. So I am moving the temp slider to bring that warmth back into the shot. The finished edit looks so cool, and I just love how dynamic and immersive this street photo is. Alright, so that was pretty cool, right? Isn't it amazing how a few simple tweaks can really make your photos come to life? I always shoot RAW to maintain that color and dynamic range in my photos, and I highly recommend you do too. So comment down below if you want to get the free Lightroom preset that you can use on your own photos to give a similar look and feel to the ones that I showed in this video. So once this video hits 50 likes, I will put the download link in the description where everyone can download the free preset. I have many more videos coming up, like behind the scenes street photography, gear reviews, and more. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It will really help out my channel and I appreciate it a lot. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Peace.